Okay, good evening. This is the Rutland Town Planning Commission. It's January 7th of 2021. And welcome everyone. Let me take a quick roll call here because we are digital. We've got Dana Peterson, Annie McVeigh, Jerry Stearns, I think can hear us, Howard Burgess, Sherman Hunter, Mary Beth Poley, and myself. And Bill Sweet is here. First up on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay. Pretty simple agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, and now we're at the public comment part of the evening. Don't see any public here this evening. And so we move down to new business. Nothing there tonight. We can report back on some old business. The municipal planning grant for the Pocket Park. The select board the other night approved an agreement with the Regional Planning Commission to do the work on that. Has Mary signed that bill yet?
Yes.
Okay, great, great. So I'll be the staff person on there, and I'm thinking that at certain points I'll probably bring the what I have to this group, and we can go over some of the stuff as the grant proceeds. So once I get that contract from the select board, I'm going to start reviewing materials, historical materials, cultural ones, and recreational ones, some that we as the planning commission have pulled together, and I'll be researching others. Then I'd like to review those materials with groups of stakeholders. There'll be different groups because there'll be one for like the recreational uses and one for the historical probably / cultural input, and get the input from those groups, take that and do a public information campaign, a meeting or two with the public to go over that list, and then finalize a list of things that we want to take to a historical consultant and to an engineering consultant. And then have them look at that list and tell us how best to achieve the things on that list. For example, if we're looking at history, we give them a list. Here are 6 important sites in the area that we want to feature. So they come back and tell us, is it just a sign there? Or are we going to do a QR code or something else that's digital, or whatever they have in their repertoire at this point. And then the engineering consultant will be working with the design ideas that we've had and that the groups come up with, working with permits, getting a survey, and getting GMP and all of, and they're, getting them to sign off on whatever's going to happen. Whatever GMP and the select board decide on, whether there's going to be a transfer of land or just the Pocket Park is going to stay GMP land, or whatever that is. So like I said, at certain points I'll bring back what I have, and if anyone wants to do more than that and help out at any of these stages of the grant, I don't have a time frame yet, but I would think I'll be doing the review and the research this spring, and hopefully doing some of these meetings with stakeholders in the summer, and maybe in the fall do some public meetings, something like that.
So Barbara, I'm not sure I understand exactly what we're I don't mean exactly, but I don't understand what we're gonna have at the end of this. When it's done, in terms of a plan or a plan for a plan. I mean, there's so many.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the hopes are to have a design, a practical design that, you know, the public has had input on and the public wants to see there, and then to run that by these consultants for some specifics. And then, you know, put that together into one design for the pocket park. And that will give us that will give us something to really work with when we go for the next grant or whatever the next round of money is going to be for the actual construction. It'll give us a leg up.
That sounds like a nice buy if we get all that for $15,000.
Was that a nice?
Sounds like a bargain if we can get all that for $15,000.
Yeah.
I know some of it's gonna be your work, but
Yeah. Yeah. You know, some of it's been done already, thank goodness.
okay.
So, yeah, we'll make it work. And like I said, if anyone wants to help out, just let me know. So, any other questions on the select board has signed the grant they've approved the grant with the state, and now they've signed off on agreement with the Regional Planning Commission. So they should be getting some money in soon to start covering some of this stuff, and so we're off and running. Okay. I didn't have much this evening for announcements. The pre-town meeting, the pre-town meeting is January 19th at 7 p.m. It'll be a Zoom event.
It'll be 6 p.m.
Oh, 6 p.m. Okay.
The school's at 6 p.m. Then we go after.
Okay, then, right. And we won't go until 7, right?
We won't start until the school's done.
So we may start earlier than 7?
Yeah, I mean, it's up to them. It's, you know, it's how long they take to present their budget and stuff. So once they're done, then there's usually a short break and the select board goes.
Yeah, okay. So that'll be a Zoom meeting. The big question is what's going to happen with town meeting, how that's going to be conducted. I think the only thing that's been decided in Montpelier so far is that there has been money set aside for towns to mail out ballots. And then there's several other scenarios being discussed. Towns may be able to postpone it because of COVID. But that's kind of problematic given budgets that need to be put in place by July 1st. And, you know, I don't think any of the options will be live town meetings, you know, in-person town meetings, but that's to be decided. And there's some issue with Zoom town meetings. Well, taking votes, you know, taking town-wide votes on Zoom.
Yeah, you can't vote by it's I think they consider it a proxy vote or something, but you can't vote this way.
Yeah, so that's in the legislature's hands right now to figure this out, and hopefully they're hoping to get something figured out by the end of the month. So it's all going to be kind of interesting and different this year. Do you folks have anything to bring to the group tonight?
Hey, Barbara. this is
Yeah.
Howard. Have any of you seen the Rutland Historical Quarterly that was mailed out just a week or so ago? It has all the Rutland historical markers, memorials, and plaques. and it is outstanding. This Thomas Carpenter has put this booklet together, and there's a map in it, and it shows every single marker that's around, you know, the things we're dealing with down here in Center Rutland, and it's fabulous. It really and truly is. If you haven't seen it, you really need to get your hands on it. It's
Should we
your
check
new Rutland
the
Historical Quarterly. Pardon?
Should we each have received one?
No, you have to be a member to get it. It's something that I get every quarter. But this has, it describes every plaque. There's a map that shows where they are, and a photograph of everything. It's got the water fountain down here and the history all behind it. It's great. It really and truly is. It really-
Yeah. And I think to get that quarterly and to be a member, it's just like $10 a year.
It's not much. It's very little.
Yeah.
Very little. And it's a great magazine to get. And
Yeah, thank you, Howard. And who is Thomas Carpenter?
there's a Bill Sweet is just holding up a map of it. Can you see that?
Yeah, I got a copy of it here. So
That's the map showing
Yep.
where all of these markers are.
yep.
And then and as you go through the book, he has photographs and a describing the whole thing. It's history, real
Yeah.
history. And it's great. Knock your socks off. It's really good. Really good.
And as far as the Pocket Park is concerned, it probably has the water trough
Yep.
sign. Any others?
Yeah, there was something else down there, wasn't it?
It has the war memorial in front of the office.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
But it seemed like, wasn't there something else down there, Bill? I can't read it from where I'm here, but down near the Pocket Park, I thought there was something, but anyways,
Yeah, there's the Mead Falls plaque for John Sutherland.
okay.
Water trough, marker. I think that's all I see. 20 and 21. Yeah, the 20 and 20. Just the two where this the two in Center Rutland were the water trough and town hall.
Okay.
Yeah. Is the Mead one the tavern that's on
125.
West Proctor Road, I think?
Yeah, it went down there. I know that. I can't see what year it was.
Yeah.
The one for Mead Falls, it says looks like that.
There's a rock. It's on a rock.
Yeah.
Which is not at the Pocket Park.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's on one of the either. I think it's West Proctor Road. I think. And Howard, do you know who Thomas Carpenter is? Is he a historian?
He is an interesting. He's been with I don't know him personally, but he's been with the society for many years, and he's retiring, and he put together this booklet.
Okay.
All done by himself. This was his going away gift. So to speak.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you. We're bringing that to our attention.
Mhm.
Anything else? Okay, so we can take a look at the minutes from last time, from December 10th.
Move to approve the minutes from December 10th.
I'll second.
Okay, Dana and Howard. I believe. Any discussion on the minutes?
I think there's one typo that I caught. That's it.
Hey,
And is
Barb,
that- Yeah,
can you hear you? I guess you guys can hear me, maybe.
Yep.
yeah, we can.
Okay, the only thing that I was going to add, that I was at that meeting and it doesn't show me as present.
Thank you, Jerry.
Mhm.
And Dana, you noticed,
Public comment, Tom Bratter, number 1. I think there's a word missing. Mr. Bratter discussed a party interested in purchasing a 7.3 acre owned by Orrin Thomas. I think it means parcel, but based on the rest of the minutes in that section, I think the word parcel has just been omitted.
yeah, it's all one parcel.
No,
It's,
in number 1, Mr. Bratter discussed a party interested in purchasing a 7.3 acre owned by Orrin Thomas. I think the word parcel has been omitted.
yeah, I'm just double checking that it's one parcel or more than one parcel that they were looking at. I think it's just one.
Well, I thought it was too,
Yeah,
based on
So-
last.
It's just one.
It's just one. There are segments in it, but it's only
yeah.
one jigsaw parcel.
It's no-
And see, I noticed in number 8, just a grammatical thing. Mr. Hathaway will need to issue a driveway access permit and informational building
Oh, yeah.
permit will need to be filed with Mr. Sweet. Anything else on the minutes?
I didn't see anything else.
Okay. So Dana, would
I would, amend my motion to state that that I move to approve the December 10th meeting minutes as corrected.
okay, Howard, you'll second that again?
Yep, I agree. Yes, yep.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Okay. So, our next, I don't have anything else for tonight. So our next meeting will be January 28th. And
Hey, Barbara, could I add something?
yeah,
So I just was thinking about as I was reading the minutes last time, and actually last time at the meeting, real quickly, was this part of the best part about sitting beside Alan Biederman there for the period of time he was there was just kind of learning a lot from him. And one of the things he brought up, coincidentally, I brought up with him before a meeting started, was talking about the driveway right across from Sugarwood Hill, where this particular parcel is. It was brought up, and I was saying that I was concerned about the driveway and the traffic. And he said, you know, one of the things that I think that we need to keep in perspective here is that we're planners. And I just think we got to be thinking about or careful about asking. I know it's informational stuff, but to kind of give the public the perception that we have a choice of what kind of building they build. Or, you know what I mean? We have certain things we can do, but there's a lot of things we can't. And we seem to bring up a lot of things like we wanted to know how big the building is. Like we would have a choice of how big the building is, and we don't.
so true.
So I just think it's important that we think about what we're asking people and what we're perceiving that we can actually change or do or not do for them. And we can't do anything about the road. I mean, Norm did bring up that he had concerns about it. Well, I understand that as a personal point of view. I think we probably all do, because we know that's a bad spot, but it's really not up to us to make that decision. And I think it's important that we let people know that, or we don't go there at all. And I think, you know, I think it was just, that was something that Alan had a really good point. So anyway, that was it.
Okay.
Boy,
Yeah, I know. I know sometimes we, get going with our questions of people with their developments and such. And And sometimes it's probing, so that we have enough information to give them. I mean, they're coming to us for advice. So, sometimes it might be like whether they will fall under Act 250.
Sure.
Is what they're, is it what they're proposing more than an acre, which doesn't take much.
I just felt like as we were sitting there, he felt like he was going to take information to his potential buyer about things, and asking them how big the building is doesn't really, that can't really matter to us, can it, at this point? Because we don't have zoning. And since we don't have zoning, it's out of our control how big his building is. I think we need to be thinking about the questions that we're asking, even though we're concerned, of course, about certain things, and we have every right to voice those. I think we need to think about what we're asking, because it's really not our place to ask those questions in certain cases, not always.
I think it might make sense to say, maybe just make it clear at the beginning that, if they're uncomfortable answering any questions, or for whatever reason they don't want to, that we wouldn't hold it against them, that we're just looking for information so we can answer their questions. But I think that's a good point, maybe so that they don't feel pressured to answer any of the questions.
Yeah.
So, and I just, it's things like I understand that we are interested in what it is and what may be going on with this, using this one as just an example. But can we really ask him? I felt like asking him what he was going to put in the building, and they were limousines, and how many limousines. Many questions were kind of asked. I don't really think that that's our business. I'm just saying, if we had zoning, I think it's well within our right to ask specific questions. But without zoning, I think that it's tough to ask people and give them the perception like there's a choice, that we can help them with those choices or guide them to what they can or can't do there.
So Jerry, this is Dana. I think you raise a great point, and Mary Beth's point is also much appreciated. Perhaps what we can do is just a mini training on the types of questions we should be asking, and then that will do a couple of things. One, it will help guide the decision making of the client or the representative of the client who wants to do something with their land that falls within our purview. And two, it will train us not to ask extraneous questions that will take up their time and ours. And then that way we can better stay in our lane around what is within our control. Now, if there's a curiosity question, I think it should be led by that. And as Mary Beth said, oh, we're curious. What are the implications of this, and how would this?
I totally agree, and that's what when we were discussing that driveway across the street, that's what I was saying. But once again, just he had so much knowledge, and Alan, and he brought up a very good point that the curb cut isn't up to us; it's up to Byron, and we did get to that, but we voiced some concerns, and I understand. As a citizen of Rutland Town, we all have concerns, and we have kind of a forum to speak about it.
Right.
But I just think we need to make sure that people know that the right place is sometimes for other people to make those. And so I agree with you that it'd be nice just to take some of the public or personal questions a little bit away from it, because it leads things in a bad direction.
Right. I agree. And the sooner we can get to the point that they need, the more relieved they will feel.
Sure.
So that we could say the only thing that we can see here is that the placement of the curb cut may be something that's up for discussion. You need to talk to the road commissioner in order to make sure that
exactly. That's exactly my point. And it doesn't need to be a big deal. I just thought I would bring it up. So I think
it's a great point, because it just helps us to apply best practice in our interactions with the public as they're coming to us for recommendations and advice about how to meet the requirements that we have in place.
Agreed.
I say that's very good. Thanks for bringing it up. Sometimes we get talking about trees on a project. I wanted to know, do we have to show all the trees? Do we have to show contour lines? So these are things that we ought to get together with and discuss, and a lot of that stuff doesn't matter. So we shouldn't be raising those questions.
And Howard, I would go even one step further. If we decide that some things don't matter, then we should take them off any of our paperwork that says that we need a variance. I mean, that is crazy.
I agree with that as well.
You know, I agree that we sometimes get into, we ask questions that really don't impact, that we have no control over whether or not that's going to be done. I would just like to caution us not to tie our hands too tight, because there are occasionally questions we ask where we can't control whether or not they do that. That can be done, but it may impact something else that we do care a lot about and that we can control.
I think that's a great point, Sherman, too.
I mean, let's try to control it, but let's at least leave ourselves an out in case we have to go a little further.
And I also think it's our duty or whatever to let folks know that, you know, we do have some land use designations. And I think some of the questions about how many limousines were going to be stored there, we're trying to get at, you know, how big of a commercial enterprise was this going to be that they were proposing. That's one.
But at the same time, Barbara, am I wrong for saying why do we need to know that? I mean, yes, I don't think that any of the commercial portions of that though are really within our control, are they? I mean, once if that land is zoned commercial residential and they're moving forward with a project, doesn't it get taken to the point of Act 250? I mean, I guess I don't understand why we would need to know how big of a commercial enterprise they have within reason. I understand that, but to kind of narrow them to, or kind of mold them into a question of what is it going to be specifically, I don't know that we can really change any of that, can we?
Not too much. Not too much.
So I think that this is one thing that all of us have seen. We've all been on here long enough to see that it's a really interesting place that we are without zoning, but yet we want to do these things. We want people to do the appropriate things, and we want to give them as much information as we can. But I just think that sometimes we got to be careful of how many questions we specifically ask, with the exception of, I certainly see Sherman's point that we need to be able to, you know, have an opinion about it. I just think it's slippery slope sometimes. And I personally felt like we might have hit that a little bit last time, because we really don't have any choice how many limousines he has or where his curb cut is. That's something for Byron Hathaway, even though we all feel that it should be on Sugarwood Hill, certainly. But I just, anyway, I think we need to be careful to preface that with some guidelines about what we can actually tell them. And anyway, that was it. I apologize for taking up time tonight.
No, I think it was good, Jerry. Thanks.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, it was a good point.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, you know, another thing to keep in mind is our scenic, our view sheds, and I don't remember if that parcel falls into one or not, but there's some very specific language about colors and size and distance from the road that's in our town plan for any development in those view sheds. Again, it's not zoning, but I think it behooves us as a planning commission to mention these things to developers.
I agree 100%, but we didn't actually mention those things. We mentioned the other stuff that we don't have control over, but we didn't mention the things that we do. So I guess that's in exactly what I'm saying, Barbara, is that it'd be nice to, like Dana said, maybe we just take 15 or 20 minutes some night that we have time, and we kind of discuss what things we can really move forward with, and it may turn somebody away. I think the one thing that we don't want to do is have that guy go back and say, Rutland Town Planning Commission, they're asking questions. I don't think we want to go there, because I think we all, so anyway.
I mean,
Barbara, I have to go. I'm
taking,
making you the host of the meeting.
Okay, Bill. Good luck.
and Jerry, following up on that, If we come up with a list of those questions, we can use those as helpful questions for ourselves in the meeting, and then we can stay in our own lane.
I
We could
agree.
also publish those questions and ask people to think about them before they come.
Sure,
And that would
that's a
actually
great
help us to expedite our time with them. Or they could ask a clarifying question. We see that on this page, you have a question that you wanted us to think about. We're not exactly sure how to answer it. Then they can come and ask us, and we can provide advice in an advisory capacity to help them understand that. So
Yeah.
it's being more transparent and helpful in moving the process along.
Agreed.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you.
good points all around. Jerry, did you have something else? So why don't we take this up again next meeting? And just give it some thought between now and then, what should be on this list?
Sounds good to me.
Our internal list and our external list.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Barbara.
Yeah. Thank you, folks. Anything else before someone moves to adjourn?
I'll move that we adjourn.
Okay.
Thanks, Sherman.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Thanks, Sherman.
Thank you, everyone. Andy, enjoy Florida.
Thank you. I
Stay
am.
inside or stay safe anyway. That goes for all of us. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye, Barbara. Thank you.
Oh,
Oh.
can I, hey, Howard, can
Yeah.
I just talk to you really quick for a minute?
Sure.
You guys can hear it too. I just have a quick question. So, Rutland Town Fire District number 1
Yep.
has a piece of land on Campbell Road.
Yes, you do.
Do you know, is that open to the public? Like if you wanted to go hiking around, or is that kind of private off limit? Do you know?
No, it's open land. It's not posted. It's fire
Okay.
district land. It's 24 acres. And so, as long as you're not disturbing other neighbors' properties along that way, that piece of land is fine to go on to.
Okay, cool. Just curious. I like to go hiking around at the, go to the college, but I was just kind of curious. I saw it and
No, it's a nice
Thanks.
piece. That's a nice piece of land. I've been up there
Yeah.
for a while, but yep.
Night, folks.
Okay.
Night,
Thank you,
Night.
everybody. Good
Good
night.
night, everybody.
Welcome. Thank you.